Hello and welcome to the Green Man Tarot. I'm a brand new tarot channel here on YouTube, of which there are many, but I wanted to begin a practice of building upon and working on my own skills, the skills that I believe are inherent to all of us. This ability to connect into and interpret from a supernatural battery of sorts, right? The divine consciousness that is within and without everything possible in the universe. I tend to be a little more panentheistic in my beliefs about all of that. You can call it God or the divine creator, or in pantheistic traditions, there's a multiplicity of identities with which to choose from. I call it the Green Man Tarot because in my own life, in my personal practice, I was looking for ways in which to connect with the more than human world. So other than human animals, plants, and this was a being that spoke to me, so to speak, came through strongly. I am queer and non-binary, so sometimes I say the green one, but as they presented themselves as the green man, that's what I've stuck with. Obviously, if we are all, and I include the other than human in that all, a reflection of the divine, then the divine is, of course, intersex or multi-sexed, not ungendered, and more than anthropomorphic, right? So I think you can work within the realm of any or all of these, but I choose this because, as I said, that is the way that they presented themselves. I'm going to be doing a general 3-card reading today, and as with any reading you encounter, mine or someone else's, these are just, right, everything is up to interpretation. Everything is subjective. So if something I am saying does not resonate with your experience, doesn't provide any guidance for you, and doesn't seem to be something maybe you even want to hear, at the end of the day, you have free agency to decide what it is that you want to bring in as a tool or guidance or advice into your sphere. So you absolutely have that freedom to take it or leave it. I in no way claim to be an expert with the tarot, although I am learning the more esoteric meaning of the cards. It's going to take a very long time to do so. I will be incorporating more of the traditional meanings eventually down the line, but as of right now, this is just a good tool for me to sort of let go of pretense, right, and worrying about getting the correct meanings, and just sort of encounter the cards as they are. So with that, I hope that this general reading will find resonance with at least one or some of you, but let's get started. I hope that you're having an easygoing day. Life is a bit chaotic in general, but especially with this past year's events across the globe. And so I hope that you have the privilege and availability to create some breathing room in your day, or pattern a rhythm throughout your day where you can disconnect from a lot of what's going on and regenerate, because you owe it to yourself in order to continue on in this world. So again, this is just a general reading. I do believe that there is a law of attraction, and that if you're hearing this, there's potentially something in it for you. But of course, as I said prior, you have free agency to take it or leave it as it is. All right, so let's see what the tarot wants to tell us. Again, I've asked that this hopefully be a general message which reaches the most people possible. Let's check it out. The Devil in reverse. The Queen of Cups. And the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. I'm getting the sense right away that someone is struggling with an addiction or an addictive pattern of behavior, and that a mother-like figure or somebody who shows a lot of caring in your life toward you or concern for your experience is feeling some frustration for you, or perhaps this represents a part of you that you've sort of forked off. You're having this like dual conversation in your head about knowing that you want something new and you want to wrangle with and get this under control, whatever this is. But for some reason you're not. Addiction or addictive behaviors or even just patterns of toxic psychological thinking are hard to get rid of, right? It's easier said than done. For people outside of that experience to look on and say, well, you have the resources available to rise above this. But it's obviously not as easy when you're in the middle of it. I'm going to pull a few clarifying cards just to sort of buffer up what I'm getting here. Because I kind of only have the one message so far, and I still don't quite know what the Knight of Cups, or the Knight of Pentacles, in reverse is indicating. All right. Well, we've got two more. This one was perhaps a little obvious. I'm not surprised that one turned out. We have the Eight of Swords in reverse. We also have the Knight of Wands in reverse. And so we have two knights in reverse. Give me just a moment. Because I'm not necessarily reading these per their traditional meaning, I take the reversal into consideration, but I also am just using my own interpretation. Eight of Swords can deal with a lot of mental anguish. When I see this and the Devil in reverse, I'm getting the sense that you are on the precipice of recovery, or perhaps you have recovered or have started a journey that is more hopeful. You're going to be or have been healing your mental health, healing whatever addictive behaviors or patterns you have going on, even if they are just around the mental anguish you've been going through and sort of feeling stuck, or like a cyclical pattern of repetition happening there. I feel like you've made strides, but you don't necessarily see that. Perhaps this is you, and you're sitting on your throne here, bedecked with, it's almost as though the water is becoming the robe. So all this tumultuousness you've been through is now a sort of regalia that you can wear, and you've been crowned, and it's just a very regal image, and yet this stern face looking at this sort of, it's almost like this is a representation of a psychological virus. Actually, it could be an actual virus. You could be overcoming something, dealing with your physical illness in a less intellectual way. But I feel like you're looking on at this thing and it is still bothering you. You're not where you hope to be, even though others looking at you might say, well, you've come a long way, and you're just not seeing it. Give me one moment. Yeah, these feel like opportunity. Like opportunity has been knocking to make even further changes that really help you connect your passions to resource allocation. So perhaps whatever you've been going through has really prevented you from pursuing a passion of yours, or feeling connected with the world of career, vocation, even just like meaning in the world, and how to find a feedback of resource from your passions. But you've been stuck in this, and you've come to a space where if you just, let me put it this way. Sometimes we get so used to a struggle that it's scary to imagine who we are without it. And especially in the realm of mental illness and mental health, sometimes when we start a journey of recovery, the brain actually, or the sort of the brain body, the body mind, the nervous system can seem to retaliate, right? If it's built up these mechanisms of coping. Um, and so although maybe you're over here where you've just finally recognized or you've been diagnosed or um, you're able to name the problem, that is a step in the right direction and is worth praise and triumph. Or you're way down here and it's been a long journey, right? There is something that I think there's some sort of confirmation I think you're hoping for, whether by life or by an actual figure, to tell you that this chapter's over, right? You want some sort of solid, definitive end to whatever this is, this anguish. And I don't feel like you're going to get it. I feel the problem is a change in perspective for you. There needs to be some way that you can find to look around you and see just how far you've come, even in like very small incremental ways. When you're dealing with a lot of mental anguish or, physical illness, small is big. And so whatever it is you're looking for this thing to grant you or some sort of grandiose finality, I don't think you're going to get it. And it would be best to look up, sort of. I'm going to ask a question of the cards in a moment to see sort of how we can get there, because it's easier said than done. And this is something that I struggle with myself, and so I see myself here as well, and that might be that might be it. If this is a reading for me, I thank you for being here while I practice. But the thing about the Eight of Swords is that this person is surrounded by what almost looks like a jail cell, but their head is actually above it. They're not being bound by anybody. They are completely bound by themselves. And actually, if you were to look at this upright, it's a little hard in the reverse, but these are not blocking their path forward, right? These sort of emblems of pain, they can completely freely move forward. So it's about recognizing your own freedom and recognizing that you've come to a point where you are no longer chained per se. You are in fact chaining yourself through fixation with finding more concrete finality with the journey you've been on. Sometimes, because mental illness is perhaps catalyzed by trauma, it's not that trauma will ever leave you or the circumstance is ever going to not have happened. And so, this is just a fixation back in that state. And if you would just look up and around you, there are these opportunities that you're missing. I'm going to fold these, place them aside, and we'll see really quickly what the tarot has to say as far as maybe more concrete advice on how you can work on this, right? Because as I said, it's easier said than done. It's very hard to move from a time of turmoil into directly into peace, right? Some part of us will find comfort with the better the devil you know, right? Here we have it right here. So let me ask what exactly we can do. Let me do this. What exactly it is that we can do to let go? Or maybe more advice or context about why we're having a hard time letting go. Let's see. All right, I'm going to uncross my legs and then I'll get to this. Give me one moment. I wasn't expecting my legs to fall asleep that badly. But maybe that's a good message for us too, you know? Sometimes we become too comfortable with a painful situation, and then when we begin the process of getting ourselves out of that, it can be a very uncomfortable process. You know, dealing with your legs when they fall asleep, all the blood has to rush back and circulate in those areas that it's been cut off for some time. And that process can be rather uncomfortable. Although in the end, we always have the experience of knowing that it will even itself out. The sensation, that overstimulation will go away, and the system will return back to normalcy. So when I look at these, we're not getting a totally different message than we had before. I feel like there is a overfixation on and reflecting upon the past and the mental anguish and emotional anguish that was involved, whether this was regarding more of a physical illness or general mental health, mental illness, addiction. I feel like you're looking for vindication. You want to, right, this goes back to that sort of, speaking of across the cards, I saw this story of wanting like finality. Like, tell me this is over, but I'm also getting like, tell me, there's a need for grandiosity. Tell me it is over and tell me why it happened. Because I don't want to believe that I suffered for naught, right? You want to know the ways in which it was important, or maybe you're fixating on like the lessons maybe it taught you, instead of just letting go and realizing that maybe not everything has to be hyperanalyzed for its deeper meaning. I feel like this kind of fixation is keeping you distracted from, right, the two nights, the opportunities that are ahead of you, especially if you were hoping to have found a way to connect your passions to access of resources, to build a life, right? You don't want just a job, you want to do something that you're passionate about. So especially if this is mental health, like maybe you feel like it's wasted your time and you want to know that it was purposeful. And I feel like you're just yelling at your own reflection now. Like, this thing does not have near the power that you felt it once did, but you're giving it that power still. I feel like a bit of a broken record, but I do just want to sort of make it clear is all. So, I don't know that the tarot can specifically give you advice on how you're going to begin the process of letting go. I think it just takes time. Be gentle with yourself. You know, I think you're winding yourself up into a lot of unnecessary battles maybe. Like I said, recovery is not always pretty. It doesn't always feel good. And sometimes even when we come to a point where others can look at us and say, you know, you're in such a good place compared to what you were, and I'm so proud of you, etc., etc. If we are not in that place, then those things don't, right? They don't enter our psyche that easily. But perhaps I can give you a little bit of help by pulling one card to sort of see, well, what's the outcome going to be? You know, what is coming for you should you be able to let go of, it's not like you're worshiping an idol. You're just sort of, you're giving too much power over to a false idol, which was whatever circumstance you were going through. And if you're able to get through that, let's just see what's coming your way. What wants to come through? Whoa. I'm not going to take these, although I do see the Ace of Cups. I see a Page, Chariot, Ace of Wands. But one card did turn over, and that was the Three of Cups, often a card of celebration. I feel like you have either community there for you that perhaps you feel a little disconnected from because of whatever you've been experiencing, or maybe you've taken for granted. Or if you don't feel like that's the case, you have a community there for you somewhere. Maybe you haven't connected with them yet, right? And maybe that won't come through until you're able to just find some time to let go and make the assessment, I'm not going to fixate on what was the purpose of my suffering, and I'm not going to look back, and I'm not going to measure how far I've come in a very overly analytical way. I'm just going to be. And maybe just by being, we'll start to feel how far we've come. Take it easy, because life is really, there's a lot happening, and we can really tend to overcomplicate things, and we can add to our suffering if we're not careful. And so I feel like if you've been struggling, and especially if you feel like this community is not there for you yet, reach out and be open about your experience, and sort of maybe even just naming the fact that, hey, look, this is where I'm at, and I'm struggling with this, this very thing in this reading about not knowing how to let go, because I don't know who I'll be after this, right? I don't want it to have been for nothing. And I am nervous about stepping into the new me. Sometimes just being honest about what we're struggling with can help us connect to other people. There's definitely plenty of forums out there. Google, other search engines can be great. Just typing in some keywords around what you've been struggling with, and maybe the word forum or blog, or I feel like the moment you give yourself some rest or pause to just be, and maybe even be a little bit forgiving, and not look at your reflection, going back to that moon card, with such harsh I can't think of the word, but I guess harsh language, with such harsh critique. If you can give yourself a little bit of slack, I feel like you have community coming for you if you don't have it already. And there will be reasons soon to celebrate. Life will not always be this way. Everything is temporal. And I think that things will look up. Just be easy. So if you liked this reading, or it found any resonance with you, please do like my video and subscribe if you feel inclined. I'm going to be uploading more of these. As of now, they're just general readings, and so I hope that this was useful. If not, then it's just good practice for me. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a good day.